important is picking a new Supreme Court justice?
The new Supreme Court justice is important on a lot of levels, but I want to give you a little context and a little background in history. We are used to, in a modern times, we're used to having 9 members of the Supreme Court serve as our justices, Chief Justice and then associate justices. But that hasn't always been the case, and I think that's an important element, again, in history and perspective. We haven't always had 9. We've had fewer, particularly in early years in the founding of our country and through a good portion of our history. So that's an important perspective to have. We can probably manage with 8, but I think we are accustomed to, and we sometimes need a tie-breaking decision. So having 9 would be best in my opinion. But I think one of the reasons, to go back to your question more directly of why it's important, is because we've seen more and more that we've had to give decisions to the Supreme Court when our legislators and when our executive branch and our legislative branch may not be able to come to agreement on the things that they want to propose or what they think is best for the American people. So our courts are having to make more decisions for us, and having to use one of the most treasured documents in our country, in the Constitution, and apply it to some of these very, very difficult decisions that our country is facing. So not only at the Supreme Court level, but at all the lower courts in our country have a very vital role of administering justice and administering fairness. So I think that it is really important for any president that comes in to make sure they can look themselves in the eye and say they are selecting the best person out there to serve in this position that will have an impact on decisions in our country for years and years and years to come. So I believe in our court system. I believe in our legal system. I know it has challenges. I think in some of my travels around the world where I've helped to monitor elections in other countries that were struggling with free and fair elections, it's always the legal system and the court system that protects an average citizen of a country. So that's why courts are really important, to have the best people out there and that use the document, our Constitution, as the basis for every decision.